Welcome back to Sustainable Sense. I'm your host, and today we have a little snack for you. Anyone interested in methane? I figured not. But what if I told you the real solution to climate change might just be around the corner? Yep, I'm talking about the methane munchers. Welcome to Sustainable Sense, where we invest in climate defense. You're in for our hot take on all things money, markets, and the environment. We all know about carbon emissions. It's the big bad wolf we've been battling for years. But what if I told you there's another villain in town? One that's even more potent, yet less talked about. I'm talking about methane. Whilst less abundant than carbon dioxide, methane is significantly more destructive when it comes to trapping heat in our atmosphere. Reducing it is crucial if we want to hit those global climate goals. Now, methane comes from all sorts of sources: agriculture, landfills, and oil production, to name a few. Some companies are working to cut down on these emissions, but others are taking it a step further. They're not just reducing methane, they're capturing it and removing it from the atmosphere. And one California-based startup, Windfall Bio, is leading the change with a method that might sound a little gross, but trust me, it's brilliant. Windfall Bio has developed a solution that uses something called MEMS, which is short for methane-eating microbes. These are tiny, naturally occurring organisms that live in the soil. They essentially eat methane, much like yeast eats sugar in bread, helping it rise. The MEMS consume methane and in the process produce something quite useful, which is fertilizer. Now, these microbes are typically found in places like soils and wetlands where decaying organic matter is abundant and methane levels are high. But here's the beauty of it: they'll eat methane wherever they find it. That's where Windfall Bio comes in. Josh Silverman, CEO of Windfall Bio, explains it perfectly. We provide packets of these MEMS to anyone who has access to methane, allowing them to capture the gas, turn it into fertilizer, and create value from it. It's a win-win situation. Windfall Bio's customers could be farmers, especially dairy farmers who, let's be honest, have a methane issue thanks to their cows. These farmers need fertilizer anyway, so why not make it themselves? But it doesn't stop there. Windfall is also working with companies in the oil and gas industry, landfills, and waste management sectors. Basically, anyone who has waste methane from their daily operations. So, how does this work in practice? If you're a farmer using these MEMS, you can take the fertilizer and spread it on your fields. But if you're in oil production or run a landfill, Windfall Bio will actually buy the fertilizer back from you, meaning you get paid for capturing methane. Talk about turning trash into treasure. What's even more exciting is how this approach could disrupt the traditional fertilizer industry. Making fertilizer, particularly ammonia-based fertilizers, typically requires a lot of energy and results in huge carbon emissions. But with MEMS, you're looking at a truly clean fertilizer, one that doesn't just avoid carbon emissions, but actively removes methane from the atmosphere. Windfall Bio spent a decade researching these microbes before launching their service to clients 2 years ago. And the response? Well, Josh Silverman puts it best. I've been honestly quite surprised by how high the demand is. It has far exceeded our best expectations, and we now have customers on nearly every continent, with more interest than we can currently supply. That's huge. Now, while there's competition in the fertilizer industry and even in the methane capture space, Windfall's MEMS method may be one of a kind. Investors are excited, and for a good reason. Brett Morris, managing director at Cavallo Ventures, one of Windfall Bio's investors, said, "We reviewed the data and are very impressed by what we've seen so far. We'll continue advancing this through multiple pilots across various industries." He's confident that at Windfall Bio, despite being an early-stage company, is rapidly doing everything they can to meet this growing global demand. And speaking of pilots, here's something that caught my attention. Windfall Bio is planning a pilot program with Whole Foods Market dairy suppliers. This could significantly reduce methane emissions and allow Whole Foods to make climate-friendly claims about their milk and other products. Imagine buying milk that not only tastes great, but is also good for the planet. Backing Windfall Bio are some heavy hitters, including Prelude Ventures, the Amazon Climate Pledge Fund, Breakthrough Energy Ventures, and Mayfield. To date, the company has raised $37 million in funding, and it seems like they're just getting started. That's it for today's episode of Sustainable Sense. I hope you're excited as I am about the potential of these methane-eating microbes. It's innovations like these that give us hope for a cleaner, greener future. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow our show and like it up. Remember, every small step we take towards sustainability makes a difference. So be sure to subscribe for more insights into the sustainable side of economic development. You can also find us on LinkedIn and Instagram at sustainablecentspodcast. If you have any questions or episode suggestions, you can email us at sustainablecentspodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's sustainablecentspodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, this is your host, signing off. And as always, invest your cents in climate defense.